Meeting to order for Wednesday, August 3rd. No presentations. I'd just like to announce that I received a text message from one of our board members, Genevieve Plunkett, and she said that because of personal reasons, she's resigning her position effective immediately. That's why she's not here. So just to make that announcement, as a courtesy, I did get a hold of the superintendent, let him know ahead of time. But it's too bad. I know she was very helpful, especially in interviewing for our new principal here with high recommendations, and she served as our clerk and so forth. So we'll miss her and wish her best of luck. Okay, citizens' comments. Any citizens? Seeing none. Task list. Does anybody have?
I have it.
Job, but you have it?
Yeah. We were supposed to get reports on attendance, tardiness, and truancy statistics for all 3 BSD schools. Because I did it from Richard Snow, sex education curriculum in BSD schools. I'm not sure what it was.
I have a copy of the task list if you want.
Okay. Really? Get a report about 3rd grade reading level requested by Ken.
And we're going to ask to defer that to September to when Laura Boudreau is available to present on that.
That was me.
IDs for board members, photo IDs for board members.
There'll be a photographer here at the September meeting to take the pictures for IDs.
This is last year's, by the way.
It's last year's?
Yes.
Sorry.
But we don't have IDs yet.
Yes, we're going out. It is.
I kept looking, we didn't talk about
2015,
it.
no
I
wonder.
didn't say that either. I didn't write it down.
But,
We don't have some of that stuff
Okay,
anyway.
that was Genevieve's position anyways, and she's not here to really give us the information we needed, so.
And the other thing we have to do is, we wanted the sample of community surveys. Did we get anything back from the SBA?
nothing from them yet, no.
And we need to warn a meeting for August 17th to go over the RFQ responses. That was a new task, but I just want to put it in there while
When
I'm
is that
thinking
gonna
of
be?
it. I don't know, wherever you want it.
No, when?
17th, it's on a Wednesday.
17th of August. Was that when they're gonna open up the bids for this, or?
That's when we will be there.
What time?
I don't know, whatever time you guys want to set it.
What is the meeting for?
Open bids
Open the bids for the,
on the 17th.
Noon?
all the schools for heating systems and
Oh,
stuff like that.
Jim, what time do you want to do it?
17th,
It's what? It's a Wednesday.
so I have Pownell at 5:30 and MAU at 7, but maybe you could do it with Renee.
Why don't we do it in the morning?
Why don't we do it in the
That'd
morning?
be fine, yeah. Anytime in the morning.
Well, people can make it.
Can you make it, Jackie?
Sure, what
How
time?
many can make it?
What time?
You can't make it?
She's out of town. I'm out.
You can.
How about
The 17th, is the 17th the joint board meeting with the select board on the 17th?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
how about 12 noon?
So that would be that'd be over by 9:30, so you could do it anytime after 9:30.
Who can make it
9:30 is
12 noon?
fine.
9:30, we'll just follow one meeting to another.
9:30?
Yeah, do
Maybe
it.
you have 12.
9:30 at
9:30?
Central.
Jackie?
9:30 is good?
9:30.
I'll
Central office.
Okay.
What is it called? Open bids?
Yeah, we have to decide, open the bids and see who we're going to interview.
Okay. August 17th, Wednesday, 9:30, central office.
Right.
All right, thank you. Okay, next item, finance. Treasurer's report, and as you know, the they don't receive it till a few days into the month, and today's the 3rd, so we don't have that. As soon as it's available, it'll be posted and sent to us online. Okay, new position, literacy coach.
Yes. You have a reading position at Monmouth. You do not have these positions at Molly Stark or Bennington Elementary. So I know that Don Leap and Laura Boudreau met with the principals and maybe Mike might want to address that too. What I'm handing you now is Donna Leak's proposal. You have the job description in your packet. This is a description of the situation at the two schools, what the need is. The funding would come from Title I and Title IIA grants to fund the positions, where there's restrictions on how we can use this money. We can't use it for interventionists any longer. So the proposal is to fund a literacy leader for both children. Mike, you can want to.
This will allow someone with more specific expertise in reading instruction to provide assistance in terms of interpreting data and breathing life into data by turning it into information, because the test scores and such on their own are lifeless until someone can interpret them, disaggregate the data, and inform instruction. They will also be able to model teaching practices and effectively mentor our teachers in the delivery of reading. And it gives that individual the flexibility not to be anchored into a classroom, but to be working with the staff, providing curriculum development, providing assistance, making sure that we can use the data and convert it into instructional practices. And it's something that I think would be beneficial for us and help to leverage success.
Okay.
Yes.
I have just two questions. No money is being used from our funds?
No
correct?
local funds, no.
No. Okay, so the second question I have is, does this allow this position to be like a co-teacher in the classroom?
Not on a regular basis associated with one class, but someone that would be able to work with all of the classes and provide assistance, modeling, providing feedback, not on an administrative level, but providing feedback on techniques, and in particular with our interventionists. So it's really exactly what is a coach, someone to provide that technical assistance, often with more of a reading background. Classroom teachers, by their nature, are generalists. They specialize in kids, but they generalize in subject because they're providing instruction in math, reading, language arts, science, social studies, penmanship, and everything. And so this just gives us a little bit more depth and expertise.
Would it be limited to a certain grade level?
No.
So it's preschool through 5th grade?
As I understand it, would be K through, at least K through 5.
Jim, what's the difference between a literacy coach, a teacher leader for literacy, and the first thing you said in the beginning?
Interventionist?
Yeah.
Interventionists. Interventionists would be doing more one-on-one instruction with students as opposed to coaching and assisting teachers with their methods for how they're going to deliver instruction.
That leads me to other questions. Are we going to still have the person to work with the students?
The interventionist would provide direct instruction to the kids that they are assigned and at the grade levels that they're assigned. This person would have the flexibility to work with all grade levels and make an impact throughout the grades. So whereas a reading interventionist might work with the 2nd grade and some of the 3rd graders, this person would be able to provide assistance, but also look at data across the grade levels, as opposed to someone who is focused only on a small segment of the population of learners here.
Are we going to be able to sustain the funding for this position?
Well, as you know,
the
that's
grants.
the cycle of Title I and Title IIA grants is always unknown to us, but we should be able to maintain it in that grant for at least a 2-year period. And if the funding, my recommendation would be, if the funding is, if you can't fund the position through Title I or Title IIA in the future, then we would have to reconsider whether we want to continue the position.
And this is just at Molly Stark, not at
No,
Bennington?
one at Molly Stark and one at Bennington.
So this is two positions?
Yep.
Where would this person fall, Jim, on the salary schedule?
It would all depend on the applicant.
In other words, Title I and Title II allows, we have the money in there to,
You know, we use a composite benefit and salary figure. We figure a master's step 7 when we look at these. So yes, there's enough funding in there to do that. We might bring somebody in a little less. We might bring somebody in a little more. We never really know, but we have the funds to cover the anticipated.
And in reference to your question, there is that literacy coach would basically take the place of the vacancy we have among the reading interventionists.
Okay. My other question is, when will your teachers have time to work with this person?
During their prep period or?
Because that's been a huge question in.
Challenge of collaboration.
Yeah.
Challenge of collaboration
Right.
time. And, you know, I don't mind funding something if I know it can be done, but if it's there's not time available.
That's a very good question, because it's true not just of the relationship between a literacy coach and, let's say, a 4th grade teacher, but it's true when we want the 3rd grade teachers to be able to communicate to the 4th grade teachers and helping that transition. So that's an ever-present concern, particularly at the elementary level. And because that person wouldn't be anchored to a set schedule as interventionists and classroom teachers are, they would have the flexibility that today they can meet with you during your prep, and tomorrow they can meet with another teacher during their prep, and exercise that flexibility, so we're not trying to talk to each other over a cup of coffee during a 5-minute break.
But there should be enough time nowadays, 'cause remember we reduced the
Yes.
the schedule
No,
where
we
they had
reduced the schedule last year so that.
half hour less time for the
And-
students.
And often, schools that have been experiencing challenges on their state assessments from the federal level, there's been a focus on adding literacy coaches. So it's not doing the same thing longer and harder, but getting someone in that has more training and perhaps experience or expertise in reading. So a number of schools, literacy coach has probably been a position that's emerged in the last 5 or 10 years, primarily because with No Child Left Behind and the accountability measures that identify schools, they're looking at, we need to do something a little bit different, more surgical, instead of just let's add more reading teachers, but let's take someone who can work and link the reading teachers across grade levels, and that's something that we would be looking forward to.
And this person that you ultimately hire, if we approve it, they will be knowledgeable in multiple reading methodologies, like, I guess we're doing what is it now? Lexia? Something like that.
Well, they have Lexiles and they have Wilson and
And then there's
Foundations, and there are a number.
Foundations.
And so it would be, I'm sure that as the staff at the central office looks at the applicants, that their breadth and depth in reading would be very important. Because just in this school, and I suspect at Bennell also, there are a number of different types of reading programs that address specific needs of learners in what a multi-tiered system of support, and looking at interventions. It's very similar to a medical model where you would go and they would say the patient is satisfactory or critical or intensive, and similarly we would make those differentiations among learners in terms of the amount of
Yeah.
need they have. But it would be someone who'd have to be agile and understand those programs and perhaps others that might be of assistance.
Okay.
So we help with curriculum development, and professional.
I'll make a motion, we approve a contingent on federal funding,
I'll second.
federal and state funding.
I'll second
And we
it.
have a second.
I got it.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, and new position, intensive special needs paraprofessional.
That's me. I don't know if this made it to the packet or not, so this is.
Get this also.
I think we got it.
I think it is.
It may be in there, but I edited it a little bit,
Oh.
So SVSU is proposing that we reassign a general special education para to an intensive needs position due to the fact that we placed a kiddo in the NECC program, or I should say, the IEP team placed a kiddo in the NECC private classroom at the end of the school year last year, so that position wasn't budgeted for. Kiddo has a one-on-one, so we want to reassign that position to the NEC program. There'll be, there's additional cost involved in intensive needs para when compared to a general education, special education para. But we intend to cover that difference through IDEA B grant for the 16-17 school year. So there'll be zero impact on the BSD budget for this school year. Although, we're using that money to cover the overage from the grant. However, next year, it's a position that we need, we would have to budget for it, but given the timing of everything, it wasn't budgeted for. So we're proposing that since the kiddo had a one-on-one, that person just be shifted to an intensive needs position. Maybe not the same person, but the position.
Yeah.
Are we gonna be within the 18 students? Because I remember it's 3 rooms, 6 in a room, 18 youngsters in that program, or?
Yeah, we're down to, we have 17 kids, so we have one less kid this year. But we have 17 kids, so we need 17 paraeducators. And we also have budgeted through IDEA B a floater position. So there's actually 1 extra para for each classroom. But
People said it was working, they were doing a good job with this program. And the NECC, they're pretty strict on what their demands are. We have to follow them if we want to continue.
Right,
It's a
yeah.
requirement of the contract.
Yeah, that's part of our agreement, and we think that this is the most effective way to cover this position, since the kid already had a one-on-one on their IEP.
Now, last year we approved 3, 2 or 3. I don't remember.
It's hard to
It
say.
was 2 or 3. Anyways, and I don't know if we asked this last year, but I'm gonna ask it now, and I'm writing it down as a task. I'd like some statistics and, how the students are doing, if there's improvement. Are they gonna be into a regular classroom? Are they spending more time in a regular classroom than when they started? I want statistics. I wanna see something to make me think that NECC is worth having. Because this is an expensive program.
Yeah, I can work on getting.
And I know
in
that, I know these students need it. I mean, I know the type of students that, it serves and stuff like that. It's probably money well spent, but I wanna be able to see it and show it.
I'll work on gathering that data for you with this, the SVSU SPED team.
Mhm.
Personally, I can say that in my experience, it's an excellent program. I always say to everybody that if I was a paraeducator, that's where I would want to work in the district. I see great gains being made by the students socially and academically and emotionally, but it all depends on the kiddo, really. I mean,
Yeah,
they can
I
only
understand
achieve so
that.
much.
But it's kind of time that it got reported back, because this
Yeah.
program's been in place, 3 years, and we haven't
And
really
I'd
had a
like to
report?
I'd like to see a count of how many minutes is spent in the classroom as opposed to in the center.
I'll,
What school is it held in?
Here.
I'll make a motion, we approve the proposal of the intensive special needs paraprofessional.
Second that.
Second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Now, this one, consideration of a petition to modify Beehive bylaws.
Oh, please, I make the motion that we have whoever is supposed to sign it, whether it's the superintendent, you, whoever, the whole board, sign this.
What is it?
It's, in negotiations, Visbet, or no, not
VHI.
Visbet, VHI has 5 board members. 2 of those board members, or trustees, or whatever they're called, are the head of the NEA. The other 3 are at large, a superintendent, business manager, maybe a school board member or something. It's totally set up against the school districts because they, as shown in the new law, thing that was just given to us by VHI, saying that we would have to go to the, what do you call it? Jim, what's the name of it?
Mediation, arbitration?
No. We had to extend the paraeducator's contract for 1 year because if we didn't do something about insurance, health insurance by November, then we were gonna have to grandfathered into the what do you call the Cadillac one, and we couldn't get out of it. There was no way for us to get out of it. So it's set up so that it's definitely against the negotiation teams in the different school districts throughout the state. And what this this gentleman is proposing is that they take one of the seats away from the NEA and they give it to the Vermont School Boards Association. And somebody from the Vermont School Boards Association will be appointed to that committee. Because right now, with 2 from the NEA, all they gotta do is, if a teacher was put on the Beehive board, is get the teacher to vote with them, or maybe the principal, or maybe the superintendent. You know, all they gotta do is talk somebody into going along with them, and everybody else is on
They have
board.
3 votes then.
Well, does every school district, is every school board getting this proposal?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So
It
Jack-
is.
Jackie, what do you propose, yes or no?
I propose that we sign this thing, and hopefully that they'll get it settled before November,
Oh.
when we all go into heavy negotiations about insurance.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I will second it, George.
Okay, thank you for that information,
And
Jackie.
I know I'm not really clear, but I know I know in my head what I'm talking about because I've dealt with it so much.
There is the bylaw petition is in your packet.
Yes, and do we sign that, Jim, or do you?
I believe it's going to be our VHI representative, which is going to be Renee, so she would sign. She is
Okay. It
authorized
said-
to be the VHI
Yeah.
signer for it.
Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Yep.
Ken, since you sit on the school board, what do they say?
I'll be honest with you, I stepped down from that position.
Oh,
It was getting too much to travel every month to month there.
Just
No,
so you know,
I would think
take
that, I would
position.
think the Vermont School Board Association would be behind this as well. You know, I know that the head of the NEA is stepping down, I think he retired. I forget the man's name, he must put a new person in, but I can see what Jackie's mentioning is that, one of the things about health insurance, it was supposed to save everybody money, but it doesn't seem like that. And things keep going up, and there's no savings for anybody. It's just a ploy to get it in.
You know, if the committee was just made up of business people or something, it'd be different. But having 2 people from the NEA sitting on that, and you're on a negotiation team, and when they come down and they explain, the VHI comes down and explains their plans, which they will, because you're on teachers. We got an NEA representative there telling you, I mean, it's just not right. It's unpalatable for me.
is there any reason they're not part of the Vermont Healthcare Connect?
They don't want, they're separate. They do not wish to be part of Vermont Healthcare Connect. It's a different.
Yeah.
This seems like state workers should be with the state. I mean, that's just
That
illogical.
was, that's been the ongoing issue in negotiations.
And we will be going into that this fall with paraeducators and teachers. And I guess Tim's trying to set up a meeting so that we can all meet and get educated on the plans.
Because it would be nice to see what kind of benefits teachers would have under one plan as opposed to the next.
Mhm.
You know, we shouldn't throw out one plan because it's too expensive as, you know.
Oh, I agree. But it's an education process. You know, nobody likes change. I don't like change. Most people don't like change. And from the teachers and the parents' position, you have to, I can understand that they don't want to change because they're uncertain of the change. And,
Let's
you
see
know,
what we can learn.
well, and, you know, they don't want to be heard.
All right, we got a separate motion and a second. Okay, all in favor, signing the petition, unanimous. Thank you. Okay, consent agenda, motion to accept,
So move.
second.
Second?
Okay, any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the consent agenda? Okay, unanimous. Okay, regular education, as you remember that we had asked that only one principal at a time needs to show up for a school board meeting, and this time it's Molly Stark, principal. Okay, Doctor.
Thank you. It's hard to believe I've been here a month already. And I hear a rumor that school's about to start in 3 weeks. But we'll be ready, because it's going to happen whether we're ready or not. I've been fortunate in that Molly Stark has summer programming, so it's allowed me to meet with a number of the learners. We had about 100 in for summer school and then kinder camp. So it was a great opportunity to meet staff and learners and introduce myself and get to know names and faces. The other thing is a surprising number of teachers not involved with summer school or kinder camp coming in. The number of people that come in and get their rooms ready or volunteer to work together. For example, the district initiative on the CI3T program, which is a multi-tiered support system, there have been a number of teachers meeting. I think we were there last Friday until I had to leave at 5 or 6 o'clock. They were still there. Kathy Hunt, Chrissy Burr, and Margaret Alden, Shelby Samuel, and Gail Johnson working on that. A number of meetings and a lot of work that's conducted online and communicating online. So it's very impressive, their commitment, and it will help ensure success of the program. I have to tell you that I'm very grateful for Gail Johnson and encourage you to not let her retire this year. I'm trying to talk her into 5 more years, but Gail is
We'll
an
refuse
invaluable treasure of the history of Molly Stark in terms of longitudinal information and putting things into a context and making it understandable and putting pieces together. I'm trying to get her not to show up at 5:30 in the morning, but she puts in, she's incredibly dedicated. Also, Sandy Mitchell, who is putting up with a new principal and a new procurement system and people coming in and asking for their orders and this and that. So I've been very lucky. I want to point out that because of the summer programs, the kinder camp and the summer school, it really forces the cleaning crew to be flexible and adaptive. In typical schools that are empty during the summer, you can go in, schedule your rooms and clean them, wash, wax, and do everything. But when you have kids and staff members in every weekday for the month of July, it means that there are things to clean up, and they just have to work around some schedules. And I want to compliment the cleaning crew. And also, as you came in tonight, hope you mentioned, you were able to see the work of the grounds crew in refreshing the entryway and doing some work down by the parking lot. What's impressed me about that, and I come in the morning and see them working, is they're working on it as if it was their own yard. They're just not throwing things down and stuffing bulbs in and planting things. You can see that they're invested and proud of what they're doing, and I wanted to earlier told Jerry about that because it really is a great reflection on them. We are reviewing the needs of newly enrolled learners and kindergartners, and the position that Paul mentioned is just an example. We, of course, have to comply with any learner that is newly enrolled. If they move here from Idaho tomorrow and they have an IEP, it has implications for staffing, for budgeting, for space, which is at a premium here. I went into, the first day I was in the office, I opened the door thinking it was a closet, and I soon found out that anything that's more than 20 square feet is being used for instructional space here. But we're reviewing the needs of those learners as they're enrolling, and then kindergartners as well. We're involved with the search and selection process. We still have a vacancy that we're interviewing for, 2 vacancies, a 5th grade position and a homeschool liaison. So again, there are 4 staff members that have come in on their own accord and helped with that process, and have already spent the equivalent of about 3 work days devoted towards interviewing and discussing the interviews and making an analysis. Gail and I met with Seedlings, which is a locally developed group here in Bennington that offers mentoring for kids, and they are doubling, they're adding another pod that they call, they're doubling the number of learners that they're going to be mentoring. So we're doing that. And in between now and the start of the school year, I will be reaching out to make connections with parents in the community. I met with Debbie Reed at the Bennington Housing Authority to look at the possibility of a grant through joining together with them on seeking a grant that would allow us to purchase books for the community center so that the kids will have access to books when they're not in school. And you know, when you were a kid, you probably thought you spent too much time in school, but the reality of it is, if you're here 6.5 hours, 180 days, out of, let's say, 16 hours a day, accounting for 8 hours of sleep, children are only in school about 12 to 15% of their waking hours. And a lot of what happens in that 12 to 15% is based on what they're doing or not doing in the time they're not here. So we're going to look to see if the Federal Housing Authority might have grants available that we could work together. Bennington College also mentors some of the kids at Willowbrook, and we'll look at joining together to see what we can generate. One of the things that Debbie said that she would do is I've made contacts, I've asked the counselors to suggest some names to me of parents in Applegate and Willowbrook, because that's a concentration of learners. And short of going throughout the attendance area and knocking on every door, I wanted to reach out outside of school and outside of the workday and meet. So I've made connections at both Applegate and Willowbrook to set up evening meetings in the respective housing areas at the community center, where I told them I'd bring coffee and donuts, and I'll put the word out. Debbie's going to put it in her notices to people at Willowbrook, and Sandy, I believe, at Applegate, and sit down and listen to questions, concerns, and introduce myself and share where I think that we can work together as partners. But I wanted to go outside of the school day and off school grounds to make that initial meeting. I also have a meeting upcoming with the parent-teacher group before school starts. So we'll look at plans for the upcoming year and working with them. Gail and I met with the Vermont Department of Health. They have a liaison to the BSD, and some of the programmings that they have available and looking at how they can assist us. And finally, I enjoyed a great conference yesterday at the Vermont Principals Association, and found it a very productive experience and getting a lot of new information. And that's all I have. Questions, yes?
It's not a question. I'm really pleased that you reached out to the people in Applegate and Willowbrook. Yeah, I think the whole board is. I think it's really important that we, often you have to meet them on their level where they are.
Absolutely.
Because they're not comfortable.
Right.
Because of experiences they've had at schools. Are you going to do this by yourself?
Yes. Schools can be an intimidating place. Similarly, hospitals had the same issue. That's where they went to clinics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people were reluctant to go to a hospital unless they felt that it was very urgent. And having those clinics make healthcare more accessible. People are more likely to go to a clinic if they have something that's not life-threatening, and that serves to prevent things from getting more difficult and challenging for them. So recognizing that not only off school grounds would be helpful, but at night too, so that perhaps we can make it more convenient for people to work. Because again, it's the real world, but
That's
yet
right.
they need to understand that we're cognizant of the fact that you're busy, you're working a job or two jobs, and so we'll get some coffee and donuts, and I've told the contacts that we've made, parents and grandparents as well, one of the at Willowbrook, that'll show up and be there, whether there's 2 people or 22, and we'll work together and also look at future opportunities, again, for alternatives to meeting at school and during the day.
I just wanted to offer that I'd go with you if you needed somebody to come with you.
Thank you.
But don't think that, I don't want to push myself
No, I
on
was
you,
gonna
but if you don't
offer
want to go
myself.
alone, I'd be glad to go with you.
Oh, and I suspect Gail would too, and I want them to feel that, I want them to perceive me as approachable and someone willing to meet them halfway. And between those 2 housing areas, that's a significant number of learners here.
Yes, it is.
As I said, it's easier than going door to door, but I can maximize the opportunity to meet face-to-face with people and see where we go with that. But we would like to work at mutually beneficial opportunities, such as perhaps a grant where we can acquire books that would be in a lending library at the community centers.
Great.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question about Monument and Ben L's reports. Where do I find them?
Online.
Where?
We did not receive them in time to put them in the
Oh, Jim's
packet,
on-
so they're online.
Yeah,
Are they in the packets?
yeah. they're online.
Okay, all right. They weren't there the other day, I was just looking.
No, I just checked.
Jim
Okay.
said they come in late.
I had one more thing, I'm sorry, if you don't mind. Allison Hoffman, the librarian, and I met with Karen Gross, who is a former president of Southern Vermont College and an
Mhm.
author of a book entitled Lady Lucy's Quest. And we're looking at a program whereby she would come in and work with our 5th graders. The theme of the book is how kids, particularly girls, can be empowered. And our goal is to have the kids work on what would be a sequel, what would be the next story about Lady Lucy, and that our kids could provide input to the next book that she has. So she is very anxious to work with us and very helpful. And Allison Hoffman has been a facilitator of that. So that's something that we'll be working with 5th grade
She
on.
came in this past year and did the same thing.
Yes.
And she was very effective with the kids, and it was kind of like really nice. I was there when she was doing it.
She'll work with the 5th graders and their teachers, and we really look forward to the opportunity to get the kids' input on what the sequel to that, her first book will be.
She also had a FaceTime episode too in the library. It was, and the kids were like,
Okay, now, we have policies. First one is 1020. Now, I have a question. Secretary, someone questioned if we actually warned this policy. Do you have recollection of that, any of the minutes?
I have the email from between him and Jean.
What, the youngest kid?
Yep.
10-20 visits
What?
to school.
We didn't warn it.
We didn't warn it.
And you made it correct.
Okay, we didn't warn it.
No.
Okay, so we can't adopt visits to schools.
Right.
Okay.
No, we can warn it.
Yeah, we can warn it, that's exactly right. But again, we just want to make sure that our representative to the policy committee understands this board does not like the word permission in there. And I don't think you'll pass this board without the word permission taken out. So just a heads up on that, okay?
Duly noted.
Okay, can we have a motion then to warn policy 1020 visits
So
to
moved.
school?
So moved.
Second to warn.
Second.
All right, second. All in favor?
And can we have some discussion?
Yeah.
In the future, I would like this board to start looking at policies that come before us, especially those to adopt, that we see the administrative regs before we approve them, because a policy is just a written document. And unless we know how it's going to be actually taken care of, fulfilled, what's going to be done if certain things aren't done or aren't followed, then the policy is absolutely worthless.
Similar to that one in Shasbury with the youngsters.
So, as far as I'm concerned, except for the anaphylaxis and the fundraising, I'm voting against all policies in the future.
Okay, and we're only warning visits to school.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, all in favor of the warning of policy 1020 visits to school? Favor? Against? Okay, 4-1.
Now, our member is gonna take our concerns back, is that right, Jackie?
I'm writing him as we speak.
Okay.
Okay, policy 5185 anaphylaxis, adopt, motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, that one's unanimous.
I'll vote for that, I said.
Okay, policy 5200 fundraising, motion to adopt?
Oh, so moved.
Second?
Second, all right. All in favor? Unanimous?
No,
I thought you just said you were
I'm-
going to vote for it.
I'm abstaining, I just.
Okay, abstain. All right, 4, 1 abstention. And the optimum class size motion to warn. Does anybody have any input?
Yeah, I got a
Anything
lot.
like to give our representative?
We have no administrative regs, and in this, they have taken out all the mention of number of students per class size. It's totally unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. There should be at least a statement of minimum number of students in a classroom. The reason why Vermont is push Act 46 is because we've had a lot of classes with hardly any students in it. This opens us up to classrooms of 8 and 12 kids.
Which we have now. And we will continue to have them at the high school because of the other policy that was written, not policy, but other law that was written about students. It's Act 77. Because of that Act 77, the kids choose their own career choices. Well, because of that, they couldn't exactly put a class cap on that. Then, the other thing that they discussed was, all right, if you had a single or 3 kids who wanted to take a class online, that would still be considered a class. But it wouldn't necessarily have a teacher, because a teacher could have like 20 or 25 kids in different classes at the same time. but they'd all be online classes.
But at the high school level, the board, and in many cases, the boards throughout the state have decided not to run a class. Whether the kids pick that career path or not, if you don't have the numbers, you can't run the class.
Well, they don't have the flexibility right now to have kids in different classes. My suggestion is to have two different policies, one for the grade school and one for the middle and high school.
Is this one here for the high school and?
Yes.
For everyone.
If that makes more sense, Jackie, to have two separate policies. One for the secondary, one for the elementary.
Only because of Act 77.
Can we reject that and send it back?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just a warning.
Yeah,
All right.
and honestly, I'm not gonna vote on these until I see administrative regs on the elementary section anyways.
Okay. One comment I'd like to make is, when I was teaching, I used to have classes of 30 that were no problem at all. All the kids in there wanted to learn, and it was no problem. You can have a class of 9 that would make you struggle, because you may have 4 or 5 youngsters that really don't want to be there, and you've got to really work hard. So it's very hard to write an optimum class size policy, because it's really the makeup of the class more than the numbers in the class that you have to use as a guide. And, you know, it's hard to really write a
Well,
policy about that.
Let's let the policy committee
Right.
wrestle with that and see what they come up with.
Okay,
So we would not want to warn this right now.
yeah, we're gonna warn it. They'll come back, and if we don't like it, we just will shoot it down and have to rework it again. But we have to warn it so they can keep working on it. I think we have a good representative to the policy committee, and she's bringing our concerns back.
Well, I'm writing it to Leon.
I think your idea was good about one for the high school, one for the grammar school too, because
Yes.
you're not gonna see many grammar school classes with 8, 10, 12 kids in them, you
No.
know, really. But in the high school, that's what,
Well, except in a special program.
If that's what they want.
okay, all in favor of warning optimum class size?
I don't have a motion yet.
We don't have a motion, I'm sorry. Can we have a motion then? To warn, George?
Not for me.
No, not from Jackie, okay.
Not for me. Go ahead. Want to make a motion, Jack?
I move that we do not warn it.
Okay,
Okay, I'll second that.
No, you can't do a negative
No.
warning.
okay, we'll just bring it back with our concerns to the
Can't do a
committee.
negative warning?
No, you can't do a negative
Motion.
motion.
You just take
Oh,
no
okay.
action.
According to
Right,
Robert's
no
rules.
action.
No action.
I move that we have no action on the warning.
Second.
All right. All in favor? No action.
It
Unanimous.
is, but it's not.
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent's report, number 8.
Opening day for teachers is coming sooner than many may think. That's August 25th. It's a Wednesday. It's the first day for students will be the following Monday on August 29th. Our opening day theme for the teachers is Act 77, Student-Centered Learning and Pathways with a focus on the arts, physical education, and foreign language. It's a half-day presentation. All staff from all schools will report to the high school that morning, and then in the afternoon after lunch, they will report to their individual buildings. Your principal mentioned where he was yesterday at the Vermont Principals Association. The SU sponsored all administrators in central office and principals and vice principals to attend the Vermont Principals Association summer conference in Killington. The main speaker was a gentleman by the name of Ken Marshall, who is nationally recognized, if not internationally recognized. And I hope that the principals found his presentation helpful, and certainly something to inspire us as we begin the school year. Today, the SU sponsored workshops for all administrators. The morning focused on really a legal school for administrators, where we focused on writing, drafting letters on students, teacher performance, what a improvement plan would look like for teachers, documentation and investigation of teacher incidents that principal may need to investigate, vice principal or administrator. Something that we find our administrators may be excellent educators, but they don't often get the training that they need in managing staff. So that was the focus of this morning. The afternoon workshop was on educational support teams, which each one of your buildings have. And again, it's a program that's in place to help us reduce special education numbers, that students receive intervention at a quicker, at an earlier level, and possibly not necessarily special needs, but this might need some specialized instructions at a lower, try and deal with the lowest tier possible for us. That was this afternoon's workshop for all administrators. We still have some openings at BSD, so I'm asking that the board will extend the authorization of the chair to sign and approve nomination forms before your meeting. There's an opening here. I have a nomination form here tonight for a teacher, but I think the form is flawed. I'm not gonna, it was given to me as it was coming tonight, so I'm not confident to hand it to you. You know how hectic it can get as we get close to the start of the school year, so if the board would authorize that, I'd appreciate that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, unanimous.
So there'll be at least 2 more nomination forms, maybe more with the resignation that I handed you tonight. Discussions with the Bennington Police Department on your school resource officer. They're pursuing that. They need to find an officer who, 1, wants to do it, 2, has gone through the training, but the chief is committed to me that he is pursuing that, and that we have, I told him how much the funds were that we had earmarked for that, so we hope that, I'm not confident that that will be in place for the start of the school year. It's really going to be when they have an officer ready to assign us, but we're not going to let that drop. I'm in a receipt of a check for $1,000 as a donation to the Molly Stark music program, specifically designated for students who don't have the money to rent instruments to participate. That's what the donor asked that this would go to, stating that, as you know, kids who participate in instrumental music programs not only learn at a faster rate, but also develop better mathematical skills. And having children myself that we're all musicians, I can attest to that. So this $1,000 came from Jackie Kelly, and she said that this represents her stipend that she receives as a board member. So thank you, Jackie, for that. And Molly Stark will be, the students of Molly Stark will be a direct recipient of that. We'll make sure that that comes, so gets reported as such. So thank you. And
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie.
Okay, committee reports. The food service, next meeting will be September 21, and the SVSU, not till June 22, but August 24th. Okay.
Negotiation committee meets next week.
Chair's report, all I just want to remind people, if you haven't received from the VSBA, the annual meeting is October 20th and 21st at Lake Maury. And again, probably a little bit early right now for Mary Lee to start working on this, but if you put in your booklets and your notes and stuff, once again, October 20th and October 21st, it's the VSBA, and I think it's a superintendent's meeting. It's worthwhile. They have good speakers, good workshops, and if you're interested, when time comes, see Mary Lee, and I'll remind people again in September, which would be probably the better time. But now you can lock in your time. Okay, anything else under other? Yes.
A clarification whether or not the handout of the person who was resigning was included in the consent agenda.
The board indicated that you felt you didn't need to take any action on it.
I'll make a motion, we accept it with regret.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Did you get a copy with the individual's
Yeah.
name? Okay, thank you. Okay, anything under others at all?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
I have a question, one other question. When's the September meeting for the Vermont School Board Association?
This is-
Oh, the second Wednesday, whatever date that is.
So that's gonna be in Manchester probably.
No, that's Montpelier.
I'm not talking about the one where they-
No, those are regional meetings you're talking
Okay.
about. That's gonna be at the CDC.
Oh, okay.
Jim, I thought school was starting on the 26th on our calendars.
The 26th it will be teacher workshops. The teachers report on
So on our calendars, it says the 30th.
29th for
29th.
students,
Monday, the students return Monday the 29th.
Oh, okay.
teachers on the 25th.
So four.
What did I say? 24.
Have one with me. That's the,
Okay? We have a motion, a second to adjourn. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you.